Joining me in the studio to discuss plight of out-of-school children is a human rights activist. He is also the National Coordinator, African Poverty Alleviation Initiative, Jacob Okpanachi. You're welcome to the news.
Thank you for having me.
The Gospel Akpabio-led Senate in the past few weeks resolved to enforce the Universal Basic Education Act across the 36 states of the Federation to reduce the number of out-of-school children. According to the 2022 report of UNESCO, about 20 million children out of a population of 200 million Nigerians are out of school. So how best do you think the government at all levels, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, can tackle this deficiency?
Well, I think first we have to look at the statistics holistically. Out-of-school children have been a major problem in our educational sector in Nigeria for quite some time now. Then adding to this are various problems that have precipitated the out-of-school children problem. One of which is the intra and interstate crisis that we have witnessed over the past. For example, you have the Northeast Nigeria responsible for about 1.9 million displaced people scattered in IDP camps all over the Northeast, out of which 60% are young people, children of school age. Now, with this comes the problem of states not accessing the Universal Basic Education Fund because of their inability to make up their matching grant, what was called matching grant, which is the 50% that is expected of the 1.5 billion or 3 billion, which each state is expected to put in 1.5 billion. As I speak with you today, 29 states have not accessed this fund. And education requires funding to be able to move forward from where we are. And more painful it is that while this is on, insecurity keep increasing. Right from Chibok girls to Dapchi girl and to the current abduction of students. The Safe School Initiative should first be questioned. An idea of government that was proposed to help in keeping the schools secured. But today, outside these factors of governments, state governments' inability to pay these funds, how secured are our children when they are at school? Those are one of the major discouraging factors that have led people to be out of school. Then the number two factor is poverty. Poverty is on the rise as prices of goods and commodity are. And sustaining families have become a problem in our economy. Now, all this problem will have to be dealt with by government first, before we start talking about the enforcement of the UBEC program. And another thing that have been, there was a setback in, was this school feeding program that was started by the past government. Well, I do not know how well it was managed, but it was one factor that increased the enrollment in schools. But with those enrollments, what is the level of facilities available to these people? The Universal Basic Education Commission introduced the Smart School Initiative. And till date, I think a few states, like Nasarawa State, have keyed into it and should be able to take on from there. Then also, I heard that Enugu State is doing very well in terms of constructing smart schools. But beyond these smart schools, the intentions and the will to get the people to school, how much of it have been done? Okay,
all right. So examining the Universal Basic Education Act is the setting up of mobile courts across the 36 states of the Federation as resolved by the Senate. Realistic when the autonomy of the judiciary at state level is yet to be fully granted?
Yes. No matter how bad it is, it's better to start than never. And I think I will actually applaud that step because, like my late father, Pa Chimugwo Panachi, would say, education is the greatest asset any man can leave behind for his children. So goes to a nation. If a nation is not concerned or complacent about providing education for the system, I think the idea of posterity, which one of the great philosophers have said that youths are the trustee of posterity, will not be there if you are not preserving your educational sector or providing for the educational sector to increase the level of education in your society. Of course, the future will be bleak.
All right. Is the number of 6 months jail term for erring parents not too harsh as resolved by the National Assembly, considering the nation's present economy in connection with insecurity? Who will take care of such child if the parent or guardian is jailed?
Well, I think to serve as a deterrent, it is not too much a punishment. But penultimate that, I expect that government should put in place a palliative measure to cushion the economic effect that has bedeviled our economy. Yes, these children sometimes are not voluntarily out of school. They are out of school because they need to help parents to source for funds for survival. A whole lot of home now are not getting income in any form or the other. So they depend on petty trading, where the children play a very key role. But of course, it is unfortunate that at this age, we are still discussing about basic education. It is one of the things that a country like Rwanda that came out of crisis, 1994, have dealt with first before the development that they are witnessing today. So much that the government made education so beautiful that people started withdrawing their children from private school back to public school. I think if we have done that, Nigeria will be a step faster than where it is today.
Okay. Thank you, Jacob, for being our guest on the news.
Thank you very much for having me.